20 years in the future. His marriage took place in September 1940, but he didn't get the chance to go to school until September 1947. This was 7 years and 3 children later. He first went to Utah State and then to the University of Utah. The next 5 years were difficult ones. Work and hard study, along with constant church activity for the bishop, while his wife ran a nursery to supplement the family's income. Oh no, Dad, not much again. He graduated from the University of Utah Law School in June of 1952 and was admitted to the bar that same year. In December of 1952, he moved his family to Clearfield to set up a law office. He knew that things would be slow, so he took a job in the Clearfield State Bank. He needed the money, so he went where the money was. He worked at the bank for 2 years. At the end of that 2 years, his practice and the work as assistant district attorney kept him busy, so he left the bank. His first law office was in the Smith Building, and so was the office of the other attorney that was in Clearfield at the time.
In those days, Duffy was his own office manager, secretary, you name it, he was it. The other day, one of his first clients came into the office and showed a will that Duffy had typed back in 1954. Duffy looked at it and remarked, "I hadn't realized that I was that poor of a typist."
Bishop Palmer was assistant district attorney to Milton Hess starting in 1954 until 1967. It was in 1961 that the two of them established a practice together and built their present law offices. Since that time, they have taken into the firm 2 other lawyers. There have been the humorous days in the practice, and there have been the sad days, and those days that have proven very satisfying.
I remember a case that Duffy was handling. He had worked hard and the trial was coming to a close. It was Duffy's day to make his summation to the jury. He was reading from his carefully typed notes. In his inimitable way, he read with great feeling, ending by saying, "Period, paragraph."
For 18 years, Bishop Palmer has practiced law, and in that time, the most memorable case that he has had, and the one that probably depicts the man and the lawyer that we so much love, is the Mary Woodall case. May I give you a brief background to that case and its outcome? Mary Woodall, at the time she shot her husband, was estranged from him. This estrangement was brought about by the extreme cruelty of her husband and the fact that he had beaten her on several occasions. She feared him very much. On the day of the killing, he had returned to her home, and out of fear, she shot him. The family of Mary sought out one of the best trial lawyers they could find. He would take the case for $10,000 if 1/3 was paid before he took the case. They were a poor family, and they soon gave up in despair and threw their plight on the mercy of the court. Duffy was appointed by the court to take the case for considerably less and nothing down. The secretary describes the first meeting and the feelings of Mary as the trial proceeded.
Never was there a more dejected human than Mary as the trial started. She could see no hope, and her countenance showed it. If ever a person showed defeat, despair, and that failure was the word of the day, Mary did. Life was all over, and she knew it, and expressed as much. Duffy's deep humanistic feelings went out to this poor, dejected individual, and he resolved within himself to help her, because if there was ever a person who needed to win, she was it. It was with this resolve that he went to work. The record shows the outcome of that work, but it doesn't necessarily show the human side. As the trial progressed, Mary changed from a person of dejection to one of hope, and then to the belief that she may be freed. The light began to come back into her eyes.
The jury received instructions and was sent away to deliberate. This trial was no different than so many other murder trials for the interest that it created. The audience was made up of all types, and each had made up his own mind as to her guilt. The jury came in, and the judge asked,
"Have you reached a verdict?"
The foreman of the jury handed to the judge the paper on which was written their verdict. The judge read the paper, looked at the court, and read aloud to the court.
"The jury has found you, Mary Whitall, not guilty."
The people in the courtroom showed their agreement by their spontaneous ovation. The light that had come back into Mary's eyes was now dimmed with tears as she hugged the man that had given her new life. There are many sides to the practice of law, and because of its very nature, many of the things that go on must be of a confidential nature. It is because of this that it becomes difficult to get the real and complete story. We cannot reveal the next three people in the life of Duffy. The first you hear will be that of a judge, the second a friend, and the third that of a young man.
There have been many trials that I have officiated at where Attorney Palmer acted as one of the attorneys, either as a prosecutor or for the defense. It has been a real pleasure to have him in my court. His integrity, his honesty, and his humaneness reassures me that his clients are being fairly treated. This is attested to by the fact that Mr. Palmer has not lost a jury trial during the 18 years he has practiced law.
It would be interesting to know how many people there are in this area who have been saved from a suit because of Duffy's actions. Many an angry individual bent on taking a neighbor or some other person to court because of an alleged wrong has sought out Duffy. It was at this point that Duffy had to have the wisdom of Solomon. If, in Duffy's thinking, the wronged individual was not justified in suing, he would try to talk him out of it. In case this did not work, he would refuse to take the case. This usually worked, and a court case was prevented, and the character of several people was saved.
I was in deep trouble and I needed help. My father took me to see Mr. Palmer. He very patiently heard my story, then talked to me about many things, not just the trouble I was in. I really felt that he was interested in me. After talking to me, he let me know that what I had done was wrong, and that he would not guarantee that he could do much for me, but that he would try. He wanted to give me another chance only because of his confidence in my going straight. It worked, and I hope that I'll never betray that confidence he showed in me that day.
Bishop Palmer has now ventured into a new area. He wants to be back where the money is, not as a bank clerk, but as president. He is now the president of the Bank of Northern Utah, and we want to wish him success in this new field of endeavor.
The gospel of Jesus Christ has always played an important part in the life of Bishop Palmer. At the time he was wounded while serving his country, he pleaded with his Heavenly Father to spare his life. He told his Heavenly Father then, if his life would be spared, he would spend all of his days serving him. This Bishop Palmer has done and continues to do so today. He is giving his time and his talents to help build up the kingdom of our Heavenly Father on this earth.
I was baptized a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints on March 23, 1929, in an irrigation ditch at Taylor, Arizona during a blizzard. I ran all the way home. Uncle Charlie Bryant thought the entire family had flipped their lids, he being at home when we returned. I was covered with ice and snow, and I'll never forget how good the fire in the fireplace at the old Taylor home felt. I was ordained to the following offices in the priesthood: a deacon by Arthur Palmer, a teacher on April 5, 1936 by Arthur Palmer, a priest on June 5, 1938 by Arthur Palmer.